Ecotourism has been really the center of my life for the last 2 decades. It's been the center of my personal life, it's been the center of my career, professional life. I went to many years of graduate school to study ecotourism, and I ultimately work in the ecotourism realm. So what is ecotourism anyway? Well, ecotourism, simply put, it's also known by other terms like sustainable travel, responsible travel, conservation travel. They're all really getting at the same thing. And the basic definition is responsible travel to natural areas that conserves the environment and promotes the welfare of local people. This is a great thing because it has a few major tenets that actually improves places you visit rather than take things away. We often have this saying, with nature travel and hiking, leave only footprints, take only photos. Ecotourism is kind of that in a worldly international perspective. So with ecotourism, you have the idea it's responsible travel, so you're being meaningful, you're being conscientious, you are thinking about sustainability, natural areas. We want to promote people getting out into nature. The things that are really the core of it, though, is that it conserves the environment and also promotes the welfare of local people. And this is where it gets really, really interesting, is essentially the finances and the motivation and the psychology behind how those last two things happen. How does ecotourism, how does it improve community livelihood, increase welfare, increase the financial success of local communities, and how does it do so while protecting the environment all at the same time, making places better than we found them? Well, it's pretty interesting. So the basic gist is that ecotourism adds value to natural areas, and it does so by bringing in foreign dollars or tourism dollars to, in many cases, remote parts of the developing world. These are places where people oftentimes do struggle to put food on the table. They have constant decisions day to day of, do I cut down this tree to provide a meal for my family, or do I leave it up there because trees are good and fresh water is good, etc., etc. What ecotourism does is it injects this new idea that nature for nature's sake is actually more valuable than the quote-unquote extractive processes like deforestation, mining, development, pollution, poaching, all that sort of stuff. If you keep places natural and pristine, it actually commands more tourism dollars and gives the community, local communities, more money in the long run. So it's hugely, hugely important to support ecotourism, to support local people, and ultimately environmental conservation. What we don't want to do is go into these places and tell people you can't chop down trees for firewood to boil your water for clean water, because we like them to be up. We like green space, we like animals, we like rhinos, etc., etc. It's very hard to tell people that are, honestly, in some cases, they're struggling to provide for food, for healthcare, for education. What we want to do in the ecotourism world is give them a better alternative, give them a better way to make more money, to have them progress in society, have them have access to better healthcare, better schools, better everything. This is all driven by the really insatiable desire for people to see the world. So the idea of adding value to natural areas, once again, you can't tell people don't do this because we like to see pretty stuff. Really what it boils down to is don't do that because it will make you more money in the long run. Keeping that tree, that forest, those animals over there actually makes you a lot more money in the long run. There are studies out there that show that you make anywhere from 5 to 500 times more money over the course of that animal's life, or that forest's life, or that community's life, versus things like mining, deforestation, hunting, poaching, etc., etc. So it's a huge, powerful force for good. So it gives us this choice, and it shows that there's actually tangible, real deal money behind wildlife as well. Now, a lot of people out there I know will say, well, wildlife is just good for the sake of it. Nature is good for the sake of it. I don't need money to explain why we want to keep it. And that's great. And for those people, I am preaching to the choir. But I think the real power of ecotourism and conservation travel, this idea of sustainable nature travel to support communities, actually rests in the fact that it converts those that are not interested in nature, that are not interested and passionate about wildlife. So what it does is it justifies that it doesn't matter if you're in love with wildlife and nature. It doesn't matter if this has become your life or is your life. It can be your livelihood. And I guarantee you anybody out there would rather be working on a scuba boat than digging coal out of a coal mine.